Everyone found their group? Yeah. Well, as I said, I was teacher previously. Never ask a group to move about and give them instructions at the same time. So, just constant instructions. I have a few questions for you to discuss in the groups. I will lift them up and discuss them, and you can tell us what you have thought about in the different groups. You will have, how much time do we have? No?
You have time.
Time?
So you just decide and I take it.
We'll take 30 minutes for you to discuss these three questions. How can we identify in our organization constraints and need for development regarding a learning organization? And now we'll think of an internal perspective, as I talked about, and what can we learn from customers, as Anders talked about earlier. How can we support innovation within our organization and open up to new ideas? How can we do that? And how can I prepare the rest of the organization to handle those? So,
Okay.
30 minutes.
Starting now.
We thought that we'll just go around the tables and listen to what you have discussed. Feel free to start and somebody else can follow up, whatever you feel like. No? So, Charlie. Go ahead, you're the newcomer.
Okay, so for point one, in terms of identifying organization strengths, I think there's two approaches. We discussed potentially how to balance a kind of identifying anonymously versus kind of in an open forum, and how those two different tacks can lead to different outcomes. But more importantly, I think when organizations are ready to kind of discuss those strengths and the needs, management needs to be ready to take those suggestions, to heart and to deal with them. Because if you don't, provide a feedback loop, you'll lose kind of the support of your staff. In terms of supporting innovation within own organization, we briefly talked just openly about the differences of how each manager or team may approach that question, and how do you balance management styles amongst various teams in an organization, approaching things a little differently. Do you streamline that from the top, or do you allow management to have their own style? And then transparently, we probably didn't get to point 3.
Would you like to fill something in? Yeah? Thank you so much. Okay. So the next table, who would like to take charge? Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, for the first question we were talking about the need for mapping the existent learning inside the organization as the first step to be aware when and how and what you are learning, and that is the start. And then we went on, and I am not exactly sure which one of the questions this applies to, but we were talking about the need for identifying pilot projects. There may be a lot of small pilot projects in the local organizations, the local job centers, the local Arbetsförmedlingen, that the central office is not aware of, and that other local offices are not aware of. So how do we identify this knowledge and make it accessible for everyone? And the last thing we talked about was the need for maybe this social platform, this place where we can share our knowledge. Some of the big pilot projects may end up with a very long and very nice evaluation report that nobody reads. But maybe the knowledge is even bigger from the small pilot projects that takes 2 weeks, and maybe even is a failed pilot that may yield some knowledge as well. So yeah, we ended up with more questions rather than with solutions, I think.
That's also good.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And maybe Max would like to add something to this?
Yes, it's an interesting thing to reflect on how you can share from projects to other parts of the organization. You can find them. I think it's one of the balances to keep a system of clarity where you can easily find and locate where are our projects and let the innovation sparkle wherever it may grow. But then perhaps it's identifying, spreading, sharing. So.
But also good for you when you're doing the survey, right?
Yeah.
To listen to how you can share it and be
Yeah.
transparent. Thank you. All right. So this table, who would like to speak? Okay. They chose you.
Maybe I didn't get this first question right.
It's okay.
But we were talking about how can you identify your development areas? Development areas in your organization, and we started from individual level. You have annual interviews with your supervisor. We have at least 4 times a year. The supervisor gets a feedback about the employees' training skills. It's internal. We make satisfaction surveys among employees once a year. We get the information from that. From external, we have a service from clients. They can have open answers to us. We get the information what are our development areas and what are the strengths. We have service of employers giving feedback once a year. By career counseling, we have Recomi. All the clients who have visited our career counselors give Recomis 1 to 10. They are giving feedback, plus these open answers. So the different levels where we can have information, but I don't know regarding the learning organization. That's maybe we just get the 100% to a point. And the innovation in our organization, I heard that colleagues from Bulgaria, they told that they have internet on their website. Clients can give a feedback or ideas. It's external. Internal, did you have any idea boxes? By our, we had this idea box to get new ideas, and we have also started with InnoLabs, different themes, like 6 or 7 different InnoLab working groups working parallelly. And the last question, how to prepare the rest of the organization. I think it's related with common values. We have to be honest. If you are hiding our heads in sand like ostriches, then nothing happens. But it takes time. You have to build this honesty, and if something is going well and we are ready to look the results, if there are some red numbers also, and to deal with it.
Thank you. Would you like to add anything, or no? No, you're okay.
I think it's quite interesting. You mentioned that how do you know what the individuals in the organization needs? You could both have needs of training, for example, to develop and improve, but some training are perhaps so that they follow the correct procedures, not to improve, but to stay in line, so to speak. So that's a really interesting thing to think about. What types of training are needed?
Very much so.
Yeah.
All right, the last table. Who would like to speak? Go ahead. Yes.
So by the first question, we've talked about the same things like the last tables, and we try to find some points where we can get information about internal or external topics and needs of the development. So in the internal perspective, SWOT analysis, some surveys. In the external perspective, also some surveys, open innovation campaigns, such things. I think we have to select. There are 2 points. The first point is to how we can make transparent what are the points we want to develop, some content, and the other is you have to come in action. And this is one reason why we started in Germany the innovation labs, because we've seen that we have a lot of points where we have development fields, development areas, but nothing happens. And to come into action, so we hope that the innovation lab will make the situation a little bit better. And the third question, so we've seen a participation approach. In best case, everybody can participate in the development process, and so nobody has a surprise when we get the results of the development. So,
Yeah, that's
yeah,
good.
30 minutes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. So good input. So Max, what do you bring with you from these discussions?
I think it's interesting to think about transparency of the results. How do we avoid any unpleasant situations when a parts of the organization, if we are surveying how our organization functions? That's interesting. Think about. So, Anders, do you have anything to take with from this discussion?
Yeah, well, as I said, the presentation that I did was small bits and pieces, and I think we are successful in bits and pieces, but to have a systematic way of working, like you said, Tobias, to really follow up where we are not, where we could improve a lot. I think that is one thing that I take with me from this discussion, from what I've heard from you, because I think we fail there many times. We have the ideas, the intention, but the systematic way of dealing with our challenges could be much better.
All right. Thank you so much. A big hand for these two gentlemen.